வருகை தந்திருக்கும் சிறப்பு விருந்தினர் முன்னாள் உச்ச நீதிமன்ற நீதிபதி திரு துரைசாமி ராஜு அவர்களே, திராவிட கழக தலைவர் ஆசிரியர் வீரமணி அவர்களே, உச்ச நீதிமன்ற சீனியர் கவுன்சில் மூத்த வழக்கறிஞர் ப்ரொஃபசர் ரவிவர்மகுமார் அவர்களே, சென்னை உயர் நீதிமன்ற சீனியர் கவுன்சில் டாக்டர் ஏ தியாகராஜன் அவர்களே, மதிப்பகத்தின் சார்பாக இங்கே வரவேற்புரை ஆற்றிய நண்பரே மற்றும் ப்ரோக்ராம் கோஆர்டினேட்டராக இருக்கிற வழக்கறிஞர் பி சுரேஷ் பாபு அவர்களே, இந்த முக்கியமான நூலை தொகுத்து வெளியிட்டிருக்கும் நூலாசிரியர் நீதியரசர் கே ராஜன் அவர்களே, நண்பர்களே, தாய்மார்களே, பெரியவர்களே, உங்கள் அனைவருக்கும் முதல் காலை வணக்கத்தை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். Since the book is in English, I'll speak at least partly in English. First, I must pay my respects and commend the author, who has had not only an illustrious career on the bench, but also been of human service in other ways, including writing very important books, as well as serving on crucial committees to help formulate policy for the state of Tamil Nadu. எனவே முதல் அவருக்கு என் மரியாதையும் ஒரு தனி வணக்கத்தையும் தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். I got a copy of this book pre-publication, I think about a week ago. Unfortunately, the assembly was in session for the supplemental demands, and we had a few other developments. So I was only able to skim through the book. But in skimming through the book, I must say it is a book after my own heart. தினமும் நான் செய்கிற பணியில் இந்த முக்கியமான கருத்துக்கள் எனக்கு பளிச்சென்று என் நினைவிலும் என் செயலிலும் ஒளிபரப்பிக் கொண்டே இருக்கின்றன. I'm sure for those of you who have already seen a preview, the title is part of a statement attributed to a judge in the United States that says the Constitution is not what it is, it's what we say it is, which is effectively the value of interpretation, the enormous value of interpretation, the enormous responsibility of interpretation that is laid on the shoulders of the honorable judges in any democratic society. I say this book is close to my heart because on a daily basis I can see how this great responsibility is used, is neglected, in my opinion in some ways misused, and I won't go so far as to say the next word, but in some cases completely put in cold storage. We know of so many cases which have serious constitutional implications, which are going to the core of the values in the Constitution, the allegedly inalienable values, what I think the basic structure of the Constitution. And yet, not a single hearing has been heard in the Supreme Court, or maybe they've started to hear 5 years later or 6 years later, after the hearing has effectively become infructuous. We see other cases where, in my opinion, there's significant overreach. For example, I have been on record asking why the question of whether politicians proffer freebies during an election campaign is a justiciable matter. On what basis is this in any democracy? Is the court appointed as the chaperone between the electors and those seeking election. I see hundreds of files in the 5,000 or so files I've seen in the job as Minister for both Finance and Human Resources. I see hundreds of files where it is not at all clear to me where is the line the Constitution draws between the legislature, the administration and the judiciary. Judgments go to such level of detail about one person, one job, one date of service, one increment, one promotion. I mean, it's amazing. And therefore, I'm on record. In the assembly, multiple times I'm on record that today we don't know where the line is. Where is the line that separates the roles and responsibilities of the legislature, of the judiciary, and of the administration? Possibly the lines between the legislature and the administration were already getting blurred after things like the Anti-Defection Act. The role of the legislature has been greatly curbed. But the line between the administration and the judiciary is increasingly getting blurred every day, in good and bad ways, meaning in ways that the overreach is there, and then in ways where there is a reverse, where the judge refuses to step into something they should look at. There are also interesting cases where one questions the neutrality of the judge or the bench, because the judgments are seemingly contradictory to each other, or they create interpretation, as in many cases in this book, of whether the Constitution still applies or the interpretation that 99% of the people have matches that of the judge or judges writing this judgment. I am a member of a group of ministers in the GST Council that is looking into the taxation policy on horse racing, gaming and casinos. In the last, I would say, 8 months that this group of ministers has been looking at this issue, every single meeting of the group of ministers, some 3 or 4 additional judgments are brought into our notice on the same subject. And these judgments are in many cases directly, in many other cases not so directly, contradictory to each other. Is horse racing a game of skill or a game of chance? There are multiple judgments in this context, and some of them go one way, some of them go another way, some of them that's the main object of the judgment, some of them they over dicta. In the course of some other judgment, they have said these things. If you put all of this together, my concern about our society today, as a sitting minister trying to help administer a couple of departments under the guidance of my people, I can no longer tell what is the boundary should be. Up to what should we consider the role of the judiciary, and where should we consider the role of the administration, and what separates us. It is compounded by the fact that in our country we have this notion that one can't even really criticize, unlike in most democracies. In our society, judges are beyond criticism. And so if the judgment doesn't fit some, logic or constitutional model or interpretation, there's not much one can do or say about it. One can gently mention in some newspaper editorial, and that's the extent of it. I used to live for many years in the United States, and for good or bad, a lot of the founding principles of the country revolved around the justice system, and in many ways, including the title of this book, the rulings of the US courts have standing around the world. Of course, we've all heard of the justice delayed is justice denied quotation, which is 100% true. But I want to mention another kind of quotation from the US. There is in Jersey City, New Jersey, which was once one of the big thriving cities of the United States, because that's where the people coming off the boats from Ellis Island used to go. And there's a very old famous courthouse there, and it has a stone inscription on the face, and it says, "Precedent sets law. If you stand well, stand still." It is a call for judges to understand that every time they open their mouth, every time they unscrew their pen, they are either validating or creating a new precedent. At least at that level, it's a superior court of New Jersey. And so this notion of restraint, of truly checking precedents, of being wary of creating new precedents, I think is becoming of a judge. நீதி அரசர்களுக்கு அழகாக இருக்கும் என்று கருதுகிறேன். Anyway, in these difficult times, I think such books are crucial to the public debate and to the strengthening of democracy. So once again, I congratulate, thank, commend the author, Dr. Justice A.K. Rajan. I thank the organizers for arranging this function, for inviting me. I am privileged to share the stage with such a distinguished group of guests for this event. I'm happy to be with all of you this Saturday morning, and one day I hope that we will find more and more hope in our justice system because of debates like the ones this book should create. Thank you very much.